Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekakadash, Dilwan, is the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And shout out to Akims out there in the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Brakah the Yahweh, Brakah the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekakadash, Brakatum. So, as you guessed, storm clouds are gathering. They are definitely showing us the signs, in the heavens that things are about to change real soon. As we know that all empires come to an end after 250 years, and Babylon the Great is no exception to the rule. In fact, everything's talking about the 4th of July and the field running out. If you hadn't caught the headlines, well, even though they're claiming, oh, we're about to come close to a ceasefire agreement, yet Iran has been attacked twice. And of course, Iran has already done retaliatory strikes. So they struck Kuwait, and from the reports, it's looking like they hit back at the Israeli state as well. But I don't know if that's confirmed. Because there's a lot of speculation going on, right? But it's looking like this whole war has resumed. And don't forget, Israeli state has been pounding Beirut, as well as southern Lebanon, still attacking Hezbollah, so there is no ceasefire. I mean, a ceasefire means when you stop attacking to try to negotiate a deal. That's not what's going on. No, it's just stalling, and, well, ain't no deal going to be reached, right? Because impossible demands, right? Hand over the enriched uranium? Yeah. Well, they don't trust the U.S., and they've already offered, okay, we could send that to either Russia or China, but, the U.S. ain't going to accept that because this ain't about enriched uranium. Ain't about anything but pretty much trying to do a regime change in Iran, which they had already failed to do, but the Israeli state never satisfied, right? And, of course, DJ Trump, trying to do a regime change in Cuba, going full throttle with that as well. Not to mention, everything's hitting here, and will continue to hit here as these reports go into, You're listening to what's going on with the economy, as if you got one, but, what's going on is that, the mirth is gone from this place, man. We've been telling you that the mirth is gone, and that it's going to continue to get worse. But when gas goes up, everything else goes up. So there's going to be scarcity. There's going to be shortages. Yeah, they plan a famine, a global famine, because again, manufactured crisis, right? Because it's all about the strait. It's all about, oh, we're not getting fertilizer, so we're just going to stop production, like the coronavirus hoax. Even though they're going to fabricate everything and say, oh, well, we don't have enough of this, we don't have enough of that, just so they can cause the economy, right? To crash the economy as an excuse as to why they have to change everything, ushering in the MOTB. But here's what's going on with the gas prices, right? They're about to get a lot worse.
The number on your gas pump this Memorial Day weekend was not just a price. It was a bill for a war that our government started and it's not quite finished yet. I want to talk you through exactly what's happening in the oil market right now, what Wall Street is celebrating, and the structural reality underneath the headline that the market is not quite priced in. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why the Iran deal optimism flooding your financial news feed right now is the most dangerous kind of market optimism, and what it means for your gas bill, portfolio, and even the Fed's next move. Let me start at the pump, because that is where the story actually begins for most American families. The national average for a gallon of regular gasoline this Memorial Day was $4.56, according to AAA.
About $7 here. Between $6 and $7 here in Reading.
50% since the war with Iran began on February 28th. I almost never drive anymore, you guys know that, thankfully. Most of my market watching happens on a Bluebird terminal, not a gas pump. But I drove this weekend, and I want to tell you the difference between watching crude oil prices tick on a screen, physically watching $100 drain out of your wallet into a fuel tank, guys, something else entirely. Just last January, the same car, same tank was about $40 to fill. That is a $60 difference per fill-up. Once a week, 52 weeks, that is nearly, guys, $3,000 a year. It's gone before you spend a single dollar on anything else that you might want to buy. Now, multiply that by 130 million American households that own a car, and you start to understand why the University of Michigan consumer sentiment sits at 53.3, deep in recession territory, even as the S&P 500 prints all-time highs above 7,400. We have some videos.
So you can see that hits the market significantly, right? Because again, most people have to have 9-to-5 jobs, 40-hour weeks, right? Well, they have to drive for that shit, right? And of course, they're not going to stay around work, that day. They're not going to just bring a sack lunch to work or a lunch pail to work to eat there. So of course, they're going to, go somewhere else to eat. That takes more gas. People don't think like that. That maybe I should bring a lunch pail to work, or maybe I should, have both coffee, thermos, and people don't think outside the box. Although that's how my dad, was, when he was working. He had the lunch pail, he had the coffee, and he had a couple sandwiches to take with him to work. So he wouldn't go spending money on fast food. But that's when the economy was also good too. You see. But he still was thinking outside the box. See, that's just it. We Israelites, the elect, man, we know how to think outside the box. It's like, well, I just need to have my wife help make some stuff, so I can take it to work with me, to where I'm not commuting, to where I just stay there at work and I just sit and eat my lunch, But that's not how most people live over here, right? So they're driving everywhere, and they're telling you straight out the gate by the 4th of July. They just said that the last tanker just made it. The strait's been closed, to the U.S. and, pretty much the Western allies because of the war against Iran, aka World War III. Because make no mistake about it, all nations will be gathered there in that valley. And that's what's happening now. We're seeing everything being stirred up. And of course, they're going to be going to war soon against Turkey. Donald J. Trump, Nero 47, just threatened Oman, threatened to have sanctions and to hit them hard. The likes of which nobody's ever seen before. He's threatened Oman. And Oman is supposed to be an ally. And like everything else, so, you can't trust him, right? You can never trust a snake in the grass. And Donald Trump, America, Babylon the Great, is showing itself to be a snake. And it will bite. It's coming back to bite them. But yet everything else, though, people are biting back, right? The Allies are turning against the U.S. They really did not support this war, and they're still not going to support this war. They're not going to support any expansions in the area. And all these other countries are thinking twice, because Iran's already reaching out to them and saying, look, man, you close down those military bases, you get rid of those military bases and don't support the Zionist regime anymore, and you support us, we can actually lift the blockade. We can actually let your tankers pass through. Because right now, as it stands, because Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, for that matter, have pretty much been the main ones, the main culprits in there. Kuwait, all of them. So they don't got anybody else to sell their oil to, right? Because you have to have the strait opened in order to do that, right? And like everything else, so, Hezbollah's been targeted. I mean, Israeli state was never going to honor any peace deal. Trump ain't going to, because Trump is one of them, So, the war is never going to get stopped. Yeah, you might hear about ceasefire agreement, we're coming close to a peace deal, but you're going to see attacking. That's just how this devil is. When they shall say peace and safety, then come the sudden destruction. And that's how everything has been operating, right? But like everything else, though, he wants to achieve his other plan, Agenda 2030, right? Creating those smart cities, and you're hearing about ticks everywhere, right? You're hearing about ticks, as in getting into the food supplies, right? And causing crops to fail. Well, that's just it, though, Brothers have been breaking that down, too. They that till the ground shall mourn. And that's talking about farmers. So, and don't forget the shortages on the fertilizers, right? So a lot of crops, they just ain't going to go through. They're going to fail, and we already know Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates are behind that, aka the World Economic Forum, the least of them, right? Because again, the World Economic Forum is a bunch of Amalekites that run the whole thing, right? That really call all the shots. You don't really see the main people behind it, the banking families such as Rockefeller and Rothschilds, But yet they're behind the main organizations. You just see people on the front, you know. Always you'll catch Bill Gates whenever it comes to vaccines, viruses, solutions, and profit making. Boy, has he made a lot of profits off of this, right? Because now you're hearing about Ebola outbreak, you're hearing about hantavirus, you're hearing about all kinds of other pestilences coming out, which they're manufacturing through the ticks. And you've heard about farmers saying, look, man, we've seen them dropping boxes of ticks, you know, from the skies, deliberately. So everything's being done deliberate. And of course, like everything else, though, you've got other things going on, right? I mean, today should be sunny and hot, but you got a storm that's come in. Whether that's manufactured or not, still though, everything's offset, everything's out of balance, you know. And of course, you know, when the economic crash happens, most people ain't going to see what's happening. Just like they just celebrated that bullshit Memorial Day, right? And they went and just drove like there's no tomorrow, even though the prices were up. They didn't think nothing of it, you know, that this is going to be around forever, yet it isn't, you know, because the war never stopped, you know. The war is still going on. There ain't no peace deal going on. They're just giving you the illusion of it, because we're going to see more and more increases, and not to mention the selective service, you know, to automatically register people. Now they're trying to put amendments in there to stop the selective service, right? But you already know, though, that you know, nobody's going to take that on. Yeah, there's going to be a draft very soon, and Donald Trump has pretty much initiated the draft order. You know, may not have caught all that, but pretty much so, he has initiated a draft order. So a lot of people are going to be sent over to fight the war against Iran, because hey, this is prophecy in the making. You know, and we're seeing prophecy unfold. And this is the year of apostasy and of zealots. See, everybody else is going to tell you that, oh, the microchip, that's not the mark of the beast. You know, that the mark of the beast is an embargo, or that the mark of the beast is sleeping with the white woman. I mean, we've heard it all before. You know, so this comes as no surprise, but you're seeing even more and more apostates come out. But like everything else, though, this word is going to continue until it can't anymore, until the Most High has gathered his elect. And we're in the times now that the Most High is just about finished. And all of those that refuse to heed the warning, well, you're going to be caught up in this, you know. So we can see that we're near the end now, you know. 2nd Ezra chapter 9, and it reads, measure the time diligently in itself, when thou seest signs, part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. You know, so the Most High has definitely told us what was going to happen long before. Then thou shalt well understand is the very same time when the Highest will begin to visit the world in which he made. You know, and the Most High is visiting this place. We can't reiterate that enough. But this is what will be happening, knowing that the Most High, Yahweh, is visiting this place through these events. Therefore, when you shall see earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, is that not what's happening? Yeah, you know, people are tired of this administration. They're tired of the Trump administration. I mean, that's all you hear about, right? You know, that they're fed up with Trump because, you know, there's nothing, he didn't save the economy. He definitely thinks ain't better. And he just is showing that he doesn't care about anybody else. He already said it in his own words that I don't think about them, you know, so he's only looking at himself. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. Remember, he says, I don't really think about those people at all. They're just peasants to him, you see. He's calling you peasants, man. You know, all you that voted for him because you believe in this stupid system. For like all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. The end of Esau Edom. You're at the end of it, you know. This kingdom's not going to go on much longer. All empires last only 250 years anyways. So we're at the end of that, and the building of a new one, right? The new empire, but that new empire, better known as the New World Order, is really going to be the reorder of Yahweh Shai and the angels when they come and we, the Israelites, come to establish the New World Order, which is, you know, through the taking down of Esau Edom and the rest of the armies of the world, subdued to us. We're going to subdue all those kingdoms. But like everything else, you know, all these kingdoms will fight against each other. Everyone's going to be gathered in that valley, which we're seeing now. Even so, as the times of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings in effects and signs. So we're at that time now. We're seeing all these things happen. We're seeing uproars of the people worldwide. We're seeing economies fall. And we see how they're ushering in this new world order, a world out of chaos. But it's not going to succeed. See, like everything else, though, it's going to get interrupted abruptly, and all those nations are going to gather in there, and they're going to destroy each other. And Yahushua and the angels are going to destroy the remaining armies. See how that works? First they fight each other, pick each other up, and Yahushua and the angels, well, they're going to destroy the rest while gathering the elect. We pray we're part of that hopeful elect, because there is no hope, there is no future without Yahushua. Pretty much so. If you make it through the Third World War, well, you're just going to be gathered up into slavery. That is talking about you heathen, man. And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby you have believed. And that's why we go out here diligently every week, and we pray we're part of that elect. We're looking at and measuring the times diligently. We're seeing things play out, and the Most High is, supping with us, and giving us routes, because when all hell breaks loose, everybody's going to be in turmoil and turning against each other. Shall be preserved from the said perils. Everybody that shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby you have believed shall be preserved from the said perils. So that's what we pray we're part of, man. We don't want to be caught up in this. And shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. That's his chosen and faithful. Then they shall be in pitiful cases, talking about the rest, who have abused my ways, talking about the 2/3, and have cast them away despitefully, shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits but have not known me. This goes 2 or 3-fold, man. You've enjoyed all those welfare benefits, especially you nigger women, man. You've enjoyed all those benefits, right? You've kicked the man out of the house, and you're getting all this welfare and this child support. You're in great case, but you're going to be in pitiful case very soon. The Most High, he's definitely going to bring it hard against you bitches, man. All of you that have taken the man out of the house. But also you men that just, you sold out. You're wearing a Masonic ring. Talking about, people like Jay-Z or, Shaquille O'Neal that brag about the things that you've done. The Most High's got a place for you. But you've lived deliciously over here. But you're going to die with Esau. And like everything else, though, he's going to have no pity upon you because you have loathed his ways, And when this truth was brought to all of you, not just the celebrities, but just to anyone that's walked by, who knows that they're an Israelite, yet wants to do nothing to repent or doesn't want to even hear us, well, it's too late because we already went out here and taught. You see, we want to escape these things, man. We know what the Most High Yahweh is about to do through Yahushua, who's going to destroy this place. See, a destroying wind is coming. And we know that they're sharpening their weapons, getting ready to fight each other over there in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Valley of Jehoshaphat, as they call it. And it's right there, Syria and the region, All of that area is a hotbed, And like everything else, so they're eventually going to go after Turkey, This war is going to keep ramping up, and everybody's going to be fighting against each other, And you're going to be seeing civil uprisings everywhere, Expect all hell to break loose soon, especially once, everything stops and the pumps stop and they say that they're out of fuel. But imagine how much more when fuel keeps going up. You already listen to people bug out, man. And I've even seen Edomites, man, cursing at everything, as if anybody feels anything for them. So you laughed at us when we were down and out, but yet we figured out how to make it work. Again, Michael Jackson has that song, you got me working day and night, and yet we're singing with a lullaby. What about you? Oh, you want your health benefits, but you don't even want to do any work. You complain when you get called in because, oh, you have to work extra hours because somebody else didn't make it. You complain, you bitch. You don't even want to work. Man, you're not like us, you see? But, we, on the other hand, man, the Most High has given us, extra strength to deal with things, and that's how he's been dealing with us. You see, like everything else, so I'm going through trials right now. My dog just broke her leg, and then this place tried to give me tried to tell me that it'd be better if I amputate the leg because I didn't have $5,000 or $6,000 sitting around to actually do the operation. Oh, well, maybe it'd be better if you amputate. Then they gave me a price like around $3,000 just to do an amputation. Money I didn't even have anyways. Okay, so $3,000 for that. Why not just, since I don't have it anyways, just try to save the leg? But that's one place. Well, Most High be with me. I found another place, and hopefully they got a much better outcome. But all they did is they bandaged her up, and that's about it. And I have to wait till next week to do a follow-up. And I'm already out $800 as it stands. But you see, like everything else, so I know the Most High Yahweh Shai is going to take care of me. We're going to figure out a way around this, because he's proven time and time again that he takes care of his elect. So many times that all hell was breaking loose, and but yet I've found a way, recycling, etc. Always found a way, to build a defense, even though I'm poor as fuck, don't have a lot of money, but yet still been able to gather that in one way or another, but always had a way of doing that. You see, that's a gift that we have, the gift of survival. You think he's with you 2/3 that are already sold out to Esau Edom? Hell no, all hell's about to break loose very soon. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that gathering. And like everything else, though, we're just going to continue to strive, We're going to strive to survive, pushing this word out, because make no mistake about it, the MOTB is going to be mandated very shortly here, And, of course, 2 Ezra chapter 15 goes into even more, as we get close to this Third World War, right? 2 Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. We already told you where this Third World War is going to be, and you're seeing Iran all over the news. You're seeing the Middle East war, all over the news. And Russia's going to become even more heavily involved with that, because Russia is going to come eventually to gather these places. Now, you already know about Russian intelligence, given Iran the abilities to find where these bases are and find their most vulnerable spots and to take them out. How much more? Well, we know that it's going to increase. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. Which the sword is referring to these weapons, right? Mostly ICBMs, but also, just heavy militaries, right? And one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. Everybody's going to be against each other, turning the gun against one another. There shall be sedition among men and invading one another, which shall not regard their kings or princes. Fuck that, man. I don't care what that says. I got to do for me, And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Again, pretty much so. Everybody's going to be in survival mode very, very soon. And everybody is going to be in that, Esau's going to be in the spirit that he's always been in, to steal, kill, and destroy. He's going to plunder what you have. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. They're going to be locked down. And it's also going to be unsafe to go there. For because their pride, cities shall be troubled, houses shall be destroyed, men shall be afraid. So like everything else, though, it's going to be too dangerous to go in many places. We talked about this on numerous occasions. Read these scriptures over and over again. Sounds like a broken record, but they've been here for a reason, because this is all going to pick up very soon. Man shall have no pity upon his neighbors, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, spoil their goods because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. It's going to plunder everything that they have. So like everything else, though, we're at the beginning of all these things taking place, just right before that nuclear destruction. And of course, order out of chaos, because that's how they're going to usher in the MOTB. They're going to mandate that everybody have a tracking device in them, because that's what this is all leading towards, them smart cities. You notice that everything's smart now, and you also know about the tracking through these newer cars, that they're recording everything you do. You know, and you've heard about these cars just stopping because you've been declared an unsafe driver. Man, Esau's got everything set up, you know, and it's just a matter of time that these things are going to manifest even more. You know, again, expect all hell to break loose very soon, as if it hasn't already. But, you know, for those of us that have been striving, man, keep striving, man, because we ain't got much longer of this, right? Just endure these hard times, and at the end of the day, you're going to receive the kingdom, and you're going to be spared from the ultimate destruction. You think that what we're feeling now is bad, it's going to get a lot worse. But the Most High, He's got us. He's already shown that He's got me, that He's got my family, you know. That is my wife and my dogs, man, you know. So, hope this has been edifying. For that, I want to say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abba Babal. Rakatum, Jehovah Elect, Shalom.